Oh, I'm not wearing my SVS sweater.
What about that? Yes. Oh, you caught Gary mid-statement there.
I forgot.
All right, you need to go get your ugly sweater. You can. Well, let me start that over. Welcome, SVSers. It is the most joyful time of the year, the SVS Audiophile Happy Hour. And we're so happy to see all the comments out there. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays to everyone. So happy to be able to spend an hour with you. I am with our three of our normal crew members. Then we're bringing back a fan favorite. But I'll go around and we'll all say hello, starting just below me, our president, Gary Yakubian. Gary, how are you this evening?
Well, I'm not wearing my FBS uniform. I feel like I got to take my sweater off here.
Ooh, we need some good music for this, guys.
Whoa.
No, I got my SBS t-shirt underneath here. So here I am.
There you go.
So I'm doing great. I mean, Smith can testify, and so can Larry and Nick to a lesser degree. We've been on Zooms all day, but this was one we were really looking forward to. So great to at least see everyone's comments and be with the SVS community.
Absolutely. And to my right, I will say hello to our National Training Manager, Larry Magoo. How are you, Mr. the Larry?
I am doing good. My cough is finally almost gone. So, finally ready to be done with that, but things are good.
You're the only one who didn't get sick from the team meeting.
Yeah, my cough's been around for like 2 months, so it's good that it's finally waning. But excited, I'm finally taking vacation for the first time in a very long time next week, and I'm not going to do anything.
All right, that's ambition that I like to hear. And of course, we have our lead and chief designer, Smith Freeman, who joined us for the special Prime Wireless Pro launch episode, and he's back again. How are you this evening, Smith?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I guess Ed was supposed to be here, but I'm his poor facsimile. So cheers to Ed. Sorry you couldn't be here with us.
It is sorry.
Not. It's 3 p.m. there.
3:02.
What do you have in the glass there, Smith? Something good, I assume.
This is a Scotch made by Port Askig. It's an Isla PD 8-year glass of delicious.
Well, I'm not that classy. I actually won this in a Yankee Swamp. It's called Harry Pothead. It's a some sort of New England India Pale Ale with Calypso hops, and I thought it would be appropriate for tonight. Not sure why, but it's quite tasty. Yeah, so it just felt right for tonight. Well, a few just sort of housekeeping items for the show. We have 4 awesome giveaways to do, and Larry will get those in a minute.
But let's say how they win. We never remember to say how they can win.
I was getting right to it, and anyone who has commented already, you are eligible. Anyone who hasn't commented, leave a comment, and you will be eligible. And 1 comment, 1 entry. You don't get more entries for stacking the deck. We'll choose names at random, announce them live on the air, and then my colleague Vince, working behind the scenes, will reach out to you, get your shipping information, and we'll take care of you. Probably on Tuesday as we get through this holiday weekend, but we'll get it shipped out next week, and you'll have some new gear. But we do have some quite exciting prizes and possibly a few surprises. But Larry, I'll let you take the wheel and let people know what's up for giveaways tonight.
Yeah, there's some good ones too. Well, they're always good. That sounds awful. But yeah, we've got some new ones tonight that we've never done. But we're going to start things off with a 3000 micro subwoofer, then follow that up with a pair of Prime Wireless Pro powered bookshelf speakers, then a PB 1000 Pro subwoofer. And we're going to wrap things up with a SoundBase Pro amplifier with a pair of Ultra bookshelves and the Ultra SoundPath speaker cables. So it's a night of prizes and presents.
And that's not all. We've actually we've already contacted the winners, but we've had a little game going on called SVS Under the Tree, which uses our augmented reality tool on our website. So we'll announce those winners, show a couple of the entries from that, but it was a lot of fun. We got tons and tons of people submitting pictures of their various trees and mantelpieces. So a lot of fun there, and we'll share those in a little bit. But Gary had a good idea that I thought would be interesting for tonight. We're getting to the end of 2022. We all on a regular basis on these happy hours, suggest various things to listen to watch that we've been into. And Gary, what was your thought on how we could switch things up a little bit tonight?
I mean, I just thought it would be fun. This is the time of year where you see best of lists, and I had some. You guys know I'm the music nerd, and Larry's the movie nerd, and then I think Nick, you kind of straddle both territories. And Smith, we don't know what you do. We're going to find out, I guess. So I would say pick some best ofs of your favorite content areas. And I actually thought I was going to put in biggest positive surprise and biggest negative surprise from streaming TV, because I wasn't really thinking of a best streaming TV so much, but I had a biggest positive, like I was surprised how good it was, and biggest kind of disappointment. So I'll throw it out there. Those are fun things to talk about.
All right. Well, may I go first? Because I'd love to. Last night,
dude. We just serve at your pleasure.
All right. So I'm taking the reins here. Well, I wanted to say first, this came from a recommendation that Larry actually gave at an event we had. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. But last time we did a broadcast, he suggested Violent Night. And I dropped $20 on Apple TV to rent this last night. And oh my gosh, was it worth it? It was the funniest movie I've seen this year. I had such a good time with it. It's, it has elements of being a slasher film. So if you don't like gore, maybe it's not right for you. But I just want to give so many spoilers, and I won't. But it's hilarious. And it has such good scripting, and the music complements some of the action so well. So it's just, from an audio perspective and just a pure watchability, I think it might become a tradition for me on the holidays. And then a few other quick ones I wanted to recommend. I thought the Woodstock documentary Trainwreck, that was available on Netflix. Because I went to that concert, I thought that was a phenomenal way to sort of capture it, much better than the other documentary that came out. White Lotus, which we were talking about earlier, and sorry if I stole anyone's thunder with that. Love that series. Really got into it, and sad to see it end, but I know they're coming back for another season. Did a family movie night last week with Pinocchio, the Guillermo del Toro version. My son loved it. It was a little bit of a tear jerker, but I thought the animation, or the stop motion way that they produced that, was awesome, and there was also some great sound with that. And then my best concert that I went to this year was Alt J at Boston University's Agganis Arena. Just an insanely trippy light show, and they were inside this big box with all sorts of crazy special effects going on. So I did a date night with my wife, went out there, and just had a blast. So those were my top picks from 2022 across the board in music and TV and movies.
Can we, Mr. MC, may I speak? I think let's encourage the SVS community to give us your comments. I've seen some already. Your favorite streaming TV shows, your favorite music, your favorite. I'm seeing a lot of actually concert DVDs that I didn't even know about. There's several people are talking about stuff. So let's
try to catch up.
We're watching the comments.
Well, Larry, you want to go next?
Sure. I was thinking about this a little bit earlier too. So I've got a bunch for you all to share. So I think the top movie experience of the year, or I guess the best movie, I think it's going to have to go out to Top Gun Maverick. It's the only movie I saw twice in the theaters this year, once in Dolby Cinema and once in IMAX. I think my favorite TV show was Andor, because it was such a great surprise at how well it was done. I think my best theatrical experience, though, would have to go to Avatar 2. Saw that this weekend. And if you get a chance, not saying it's like the best movie, but sitting down in that theater to enjoy it was unreal. My best concert was back in June.
Can I guess? Does it begin with an F?
Yeah, it does. But it was because it was a reunion show for Flicker Stick, and I think the last time we saw them, it's not Taylor Swift or Billie Eilish, but it did get to see
that's a shot at me, everybody.
Yes, that's very much a shot. And then I found a new band this year that I have just been listening to like crazy the last few weeks, especially being on the road. They're called The Fame, FAIM, out of Australia. And they've only got 2 albums, but both of them are fantastic, and just been digging them. So that's been going on. My favorite doc, because you mentioned documentaries, was Facing Nolan on Netflix. And if you grew up anywhere in Texas, you got to watch him pitch, and it was pretty amazing.
That's Nolan Ryan, for those who may not have been into baseball in the 80s. Smith, let's just kick it to you, right? Let's hear what your suggestions are. I'm on the edge of my
movie. I actually don't think it was that strong of a year for movies. I think there were a lot of I'll sit and watch it kind of flicks, but I think a lot of it just kind of belonged on streaming. But Everything Everywhere All at Once, I thought that was like a standout by itself. I think shows actually have been really strong this year. Like Larry saying, Andor was amazing end to end. I think my wife and I are watching Willow right now, and it's getting better.
It's fun
every episode. It's actually turning into something really enjoyable. I thought Sandman was awesome. I actually really liked Outer Range. If you saw that one, kind of like country.
So the
kind
Josh
of
Brolin
country, kind of sci-fi. There's a hole in the ground. Anyway, it was really good. And then actually the best thing for me music-wise was seeing Nine Inch Nails in Las Vegas with a good friend of mine. Not actually one of their best shows. Not one of their best, not a great venue. But it just totally reminded me of how great it is when artists are still artists and they're still trying to reinvent themselves and still trying to be creative, even on a track that's 20 or 30 years old. And they play it different. They mix it up. They do something different. And it's a departure from the album version that you've listened to so many times. And then the same thing with, I saw Norah Jones and Regina Spektor in Tahoe a few months ago. And
were you the youngest one there?
I was just going to say, okay, Boomer.
No, but there were some people with their kids there. So those kids were younger. But actually that they were both awesome. Totally great. And I've seen Norah Jones live once before. And this show
we use Norah Jones to voice speakers. She's one of our go-tos. So aren't you tired of her? We listen to her every time.
This is the thing about live music though. Like when you see it live and the artists are still invested in these songs that they're playing over and over again, they have to like keep it fresh for themselves, which keeps it fresh for everybody else. So hearing versions of songs that you would never hear normally. That's like the best reason to go see live music. You could have sang it
for her. You know it so well.
Nobody needs that.
Well, Gary, that brings it to you.
I agree. It's been a great year for TV. I mean, I could talk all day for TV. I actually don't think there were that many movies. I like Top Gun too. I'll go with Larry's recommendation. I thought it was so much fun. We used it as a demo in our in-person show, which was awesome. I guess we're going to talk a little bit about that, right, Nick? So, but I will do my music one. So best live show. I mean, for me, head and shoulders. It was the 4 times I saw Red Hot Chili Peppers, and my favorite was Washington. And I was watching with my son and my wife. We all met there. One of them came from New York, and we all went and saw them. And it was just brilliant. And all 4 shows were totally different, which tells you something right there. What was interesting, Nick, I meant to tell you this. I was listening to a John Frusciante, he's the guitar player, podcast with Rick Rubin, and he called out the show I saw as being one where he was in a really bad mood in DC. And he said, but then I went to Fenway Park and I was in a fantastic mood. So the one you saw right after the one I saw, he was talking about how it was one of his favorite shows on the tour. But anybody, they're doing a few more shows in 2023. It's just brilliant. They absolutely will divert 60,000 people without any problem. It's really fun. So I'm gonna give you my top 5 music. Number 5, I told you guys about this guy a year ago, and no one in the comments cared. No one commented anything about it. It super annoyed me. And then now he is the top artist in the world by far, Bad Bunny. And his album, I mean, you can like add up like numbers 2 through 5, and they don't add up to the amount of streams this guy has had. But if you wonder why, just go on his latest album and listen to it. It's this, if you haven't heard reggaeton before, it'll sound like it's being sent to you from another planet. But then it starts to bring you in, and you can't let it go. And I absolutely think that's my number 5 best album. Number 4 is Billie Eilish. I loved it. Yes, Larry, I loved Billie Eilish's album. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. What a great! I mean, she's 19 years old. What a bright future she has. She's already making amazing music. And then number 3 for me was the Kendrick Lamar album, which is another one where if you don't know who he is, if you're a boomer like me, that's a great intro. This is a guy really shooting for the moon with his music. And then number 2, I'm sorry, but I'm very obsessed on Red Hot Chili Peppers right now, and so my number 2 is all the music they released. They put out 2 albums with 17 songs each and 2 bonus tracks. So 36 songs all in one 4-month period, it's really pretty remarkable. And they didn't get enough love, I think, from the critics for the simple reason it's just too much to digest. And so if just put it in one of your playlists and let the songs just pop in and surprise you, and you'll see that they're almost all little gems. And then the final one, and I'm going to say it. Look, Larry, you can make fun of me all you want, but this is Head and Shoulders, the best album of the year, which is Taylor Swift's Midnight. It is amazing. She launched, the first album comes out at midnight with 12 tracks, and then she does 6 bonus tracks 3 hours later, and it's all just, she is by far the best songwriter working today as far as I'm concerned, and now her voice has really come around as well. So yeah, she's my number one by far. I didn't qualify for the fan club, so I guess I won't get to see her in a stadium next year.
That's ageism. How dare they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny when my wife and I went to Oklahoma City to go to a show the weekend of our anniversary. When we were driving back, I told Apple to just play the top music right now, and it was 12 songs from Drake and 12 songs from Taylor Swift, and I wanted to just throw my.
There
phone
is
out
nothing
the window.
else.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, I'll give you one sleeper.
Can I say my two streaming shows? My biggest positive surprise and my biggest disappointment streaming show. My biggest positive surprise was the Lord of the Rings prequel. I thought it was really, really good. I totally recommend it. Everybody has Amazon Prime, right? It's on Amazon Prime. And it's fun, and you care about the characters, and the effects are great. And then my biggest disappointment by a wide margin. I agree with the people saying Tool, by the way. Tool's a close number 2 to Red Hot Chili Peppers for me in live shows this year. My biggest disappointment by far was the Game of Thrones prequel. I would say it was a stiff. I would say it just really wasn't very good. And I know some people don't agree with me. People have argued with me about it, but I'm sticking to that point.
Yep, more dragons. Always need more dragons, no matter what. That was the problem. I'll give one more because I wanted to give a sleeper pick. I haven't listened to punk music in a while, so I tried to discover some new punk, and I found a band called Drug Church and an album called Hygiene, and it's sort of modern punk, but they're still ranting about things, and it sort of has that aesthetic that I used to love about punk when I was an angsty teen. So that's another one I would recommend. Drug Church with the album Hygiene. So there
Sweet.
you go. That's my final. I know. I just throw that one in there. All right. Well, we owe a giveaway, so let's do that. And then I wanted to talk about a few more things before we get into our Q&A. But next giveaway, first of the night, will be a 3000 micro subwoofer, and our winner of that is Bob Warden Jr. Bob Warden Jr. Congratulations! You got our first giveaway, 3000 micro. We'll get your information and get that.
Congratulations, Bob. I just saw somebody wrote his SVS subwoofer celebrated its 21st birthday this week. What a funny thing!
Awesome. Oh my goodness! Wow,
That's
about
track of that.
About as old as our company almost. So that's an original. That's a testament right there. I don't know if you want to do this, Gary, but I thought, if you wanted an opportunity to humble brag about Prime Wireless Pro, we're headed to CES in a couple weeks. We got a couple awards in our back pocket that we haven't really talked about since we did our unveiling. So I don't want to dwell on this, but we're just super proud of the response that they've gotten and the opportunity to be able to show them off to an even bigger crowd when we hit up Vegas. So I'll leave it at that. Gary, if you want to share any thoughts on that before we get on to the next topic, here's your chance.
Hey, look, I'm super proud of it too. I mean, and Smith is proud of it, and he's on this. Did we say, we're sending our thoughts to Ed and Ed's family, by the way?
Right.
Ed should be here. He was going to be here, but he had a death in his family or a very sick person in his family. Maybe I shouldn't rush things. And so I think they're visiting that person. I don't want to get too much into his personal stuff other than to say, our thoughts and prayers are with him, as I'm sure everyone in the SVS community feels that way. So as far as Prime Wireless Pro, they're flying out of the door, which is so much fun because it's not the first thing you think of when you think of SVS smart wireless speakers, and they're just doing really, really well. So probably my favorite thing is that. But they've won so many awards. They won the ISO award, which is 60 audiophile magazines around the world. voted them the best wireless speaker of 2022. They won. They won top pick from Sound and Vision magazine, right?
They won my
And now
top pick too.
What?
The Larry's
That's
top
right,
pick.
Larry's
Got the
favorite
Larry's
launch. The launch Larry's most excited about. And
Soundstage
now we
editor's
just
choice. Yeah. What was another one?
Soundstage, which is a website and audiophile magazine from Canada, right?
Correct. Yep.
They're one of their products of the year. And then we just heard that it won the CES Innovations Award, which is super prestigious and very unusual. A different division of CES, which is what they call the Tech Home division, which is the integrators, awarded our 3000 in-wall subwoofer their CES Mark of Excellence Award. At the same time, the 3000 in-wall subwoofer also won the CES Innovations Award. So we got a CES award trifecta. I've never heard of anyone doing that, and I am excited about it.
Well, we had the opportunity to showcase those products in Scottsdale, Arizona. We did a happy hour from that event, but I specifically wanted to call out Ben, Joe, and Jaime, 3 guys that I met while we were there. They were just so gracious, so thankful that we were out there, and it was just so nice connecting with people because it represents what we're trying to do with these live events and with the happy hours. Is just build community, not just around SVS, but around passion for sound and home theater and audio. And I think there's been this notion that it's sort of judgmental and it's hard to really get good advice because people are always sort of polluted or clouded with their own judgments. And it was just such a refreshing opportunity to be there and at Nebraska Furniture Mart and some of our previous events, because it really lets us spend more time and have face-to-face interactions that we don't get here. And we, I get fixated on the comments. I know Gary and Larry do too, but it's something different when you get to actually shake someone's hand. It
was really awesome, taking pictures with a lot of the folks, and we signed autographs, which is always kind of weird. But it's cool. And we love getting.
Somebody asked me, when will you be too big to do an event like that? When will you be too big as a CEO to go to an event like that? And I literally said never. It's just so joyful to meet the SVS community. I mean, we're reaching a point where, guys, what do you think? 3/4 of the people going there are already kind of SVS community members, I guess, and we're just kind of reconnecting with them or meeting them in person for the first time.
Yeah. We spent time today. We're trying to plan out 2023 to come visit all of you as well.
We want to try to do 2 a month, right? We said that. Is that okay for me to put it out there, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. And, before we get to our next dealer event, we're going to be, I think I mentioned, in Las Vegas. We're going to have our biggest presence in Vegas at the international CES show we've ever had. We're going to be right on the main floor in Central Hall next to the Samsung booth. And I know there's some folks in the audience who may be attending, but we're going to have a full-on sound cabin with a Dolby Atmos 5.2.2 system with dual SB16 Ultra subwoofers, our Prime Elevations, Prime Pinnacles, Ultra Center and surrounds. Like, it's going to be an awesome experience that we're going to have right there on the main floor that we're super excited to share. And then, of course, we're going to have our Prime Wireless Pro gear to demonstrate outside the cabin, and a bunch of static stuff as well to kind of just show off the full breadth. But if you're there, officially it's booth 17248, but just look for the big blue SVS logo in Central Hall and you'll be able to find us. But we're super excited.
Who would have predicted 10 years ago, 11 years ago when we got started, that we would be on the main floor of International CES, Central Hall, right next to Samsung, with a massive big blue SVS logo sign hanging over, and a specially constructed cubicle so we could do a home theater demo in the middle of a 2 million square foot trade show. That's pretty cool.
I thought I would not have picked it. And, it's just fun to be there where there's just going to be so much energy and excitement. I mean, the Venetian was great. You can do awesome demos, but it's not the easiest place to get to. And so being right there in the heart of things, I couldn't be more excited. That's true. So very exciting there. Well, I think we can move on. I have I mentioned the SVS Under the Tree contest.
I'm going to ask if we're going to go to Boston, and we do have a dealer in Braintree. Is Braintree close enough to Boston where we should do that? Whoever wrote that, I missed your name.
Yeah, it's definitely right outside. It's actually a quick train ride on the Red Line if you're taking notes there from Boston. So I think there's an opportunity there. And somebody else asked about Axpona. Absolutely, we're going to be at Axpona this year too. So that's in the Chicago area, and it's actually a destination if you if you want to travel in for it. It's a fun time and easy to get in and out of. So I would encourage
Beautiful
folks to
Schaumburg, Illinois.
Schaumburg, Illinois. You can't beat it, especially not in April. All right, so as
Hard Rock hamburger joint in the country, I think too.
Is that right? All right, so I'm going to cue this up here in just a second, but we have this SVS Under the Tree, our augmented reality tool. Essentially, it's something we have on all of our product pages that allows you to use your smartphone to actually show SVS speakers and subwoofers to scale in your room. And, if you're going to invest in a PB16 Ultra, sometimes it's good to know if it's actually going to fit next to your console or in between your speakers. So we created this tool to just make that a little bit easier. But we had some fun with it. We asked folks to take screenshots of various SVS products throughout their home or specifically under the tree to celebrate the holidays, excuse me, and do a couple giveaways. So we've already contacted the winners of these giveaways. So we're not actually making this announcement new, but I did want to share a few of my favorite entries. Just give me a second here. Thank you.
And wheezing and coughing. Everybody got sick after our holiday party last year, except me. Last week. I literally get calls from SVS team members. You're not sick yet? They were like all hoping for me to be sick.
So the first winner was one, and I'm going to just do a quick screen share here of our Prime Wireless Pro powered speaker system. And the winner of that was from Twitter. Let me get my share screen. There we go. And there it is. Give me on. Okay. So here's the first winner of the Prime Wireless Pro powered speaker system. And we actually did these at random. And I thought this was funny because he wrote a piano song to go along with this. So I can't play piano. I don't know anyone in my close family who can. But I'm hoping this gentleman, young Yugi boy.
Wait, I'm reading it. It looks like chopsticks.
Maybe it is, maybe not. It looks like somebody with even the minor chops would be able to play something like that. But this is the winner of the Prime Wireless Pro powered speaker system. So congrats to you,
congratulations,
young Yugi 01. And then the other winner was from Instagram, and here he is, his faithful pooch next to a PC 4000. This is
looks like it's about to fall on the dog. This is
Mo2 Breather. Congrats, Mo2 Breather from Instagram. We've already reached out and heard back from Mo2 Breather. But again, he's got a Prime Wireless SoundBase, Prime Wireless Pro SoundBase with Prime bookshelf speakers and Ultra cables coming his way as the grand prize winner. So thank you for everyone who participated. Like I said, if you want to see the other submissions, just look for the hashtags SVS Under the Tree on Instagram and Twitter, or just check out our owners gallery. But I'll quickly cycle through a few more here. Now, this one just inappropriate. I mean, they should be opening their ears with joy on that one.
This one didn't win. We got to.
No, I mean, we chose them at random. I didn't want it to be a favorite. Who got the most likes and things like that? I think make it pollution. But here's that's an odd-looking Santa, but he's doing. Maybe it's
I don't think that's a Santa. I think that's an elf.
This one I just thought was very crisp, and you got the Advent calendar. This is something I'd love to get on the 24th. This one, the polar bear would like to rock out with a center channel there. This is just a nice mantle with looks like our Prime bookshelf. We're almost at the end, Gary, I promise. This is just a majestic.
This is good. Keep it zooming along there.
This looks like a Dwell magazine ad for me, so maybe we got to look into that, Gary. Another ported sub under the tree there. This one I love because it's a sub in a stocking, so
it's a bad problem.
Somehow figure out how to make that work. Super Lario, I'd be very impressed. And then this is our final
He's
one.
getting dizzy looking at that one.
This is all aboard the 3000 Micro Express here. Somebody put their train up and had their 3000 Micro augmented reality inserted in there. So some of our favorites to share as part of the SVS.
Thanks for doing that, everyone who participated. I think that's fun.
Yeah, and we'll do it again. We did also an SVS in the wild, so we might bring that back mid-year and have some more fun with it. And I did want to address one other thing. A bunch of people are asking about the new digs. Yes, this is my new home theater. I didn't want to get into all the details today because we have all this holiday festivity stuff. But I think in one of our upcoming broadcasts, Gary, if you'll indulge me, I'll talk about some of the challenges, some of the
talk about the journey. You totally should.
Yep. And
I think people, what I noticed in the comments of the last couple ones we did, where people were asking how your progress was. So I think people want to know.
Well, it has been phenomenal, and it was on full display with Violent Night last night and with Pinocchio a few nights earlier, so it doesn't get much better than that. We owe a giveaway. Next giveaway of the evening is a PB 1000 Pro subwoofer. Winner of that is Stephen Leonard. PB 1000 Pro subwoofer. You got some bass coming your way. All right, well, the last broadcast we did, at our homes, it was the Prime Wireless Pro launch, and there was a ton of questions that we didn't get to. So I wanted to pull some of those questions to answer live here, and then we'll have more of a general lightning round Q&A. But, if you have questions about Prime Wireless Pro, feel free to drop them in the comments, and we'll certainly try to get to them. But there were a few that I thought would be worth addressing here, and this is one that I think we've talked a little bit about before, and we can go sort of off the deep end in geekery. But there was a few questions about the DAC and just what is 24-bit 192, and why is having a good DAC important in a pair of powered speakers or in a wireless smart integrated amp. And so, I'll throw it to you first, Smith, but interested to hear what others think about the importance of the DAC and what those numbers actually mean.
Yeah, so a DAC is a digital to analog converter. So it takes digital content, digital audio in our case, and converts it to an analog waveform. So it can go, and then at that point you would usually send it to an amplifier, which makes it a bigger analog waveform, so you can go drive some speakers. So the DAC, what's kind of important about a DAC is what flavor, how much resolution of content can it handle. So in the case of a 24-bit 192 kilohertz DAC, well, we're talking about two things. The bits is basically how many zeros and ones you have available to describe each moment of music. And then the kilohertz, the 192, is basically how many moments do you get per second. So 24 192, we get 24 zeros and ones to describe each moment of sound. And each moment that we're looking at is 192,000 times a second. So
can I frame that up from a different place now that you've done that?
For
what
humanity.
You did, no. But what you did was you showed how much sheer detail and resolution is coming. Now I'm going to come at it from a different place and marry it up to what you said. What an analog waveform, like playing a record, would be, it's as though you drew it with a pen, and it would be a completely straight line. It would not be dots. It would be a straight line, and it would be perfectly smooth. Obviously, since it's created by a needle in a groove, it's not perfect. But it is perfectly smooth because it's created, it's analog, and it goes to your amplifier and stays analog. Mm-hmm. A DAC is taking digital information, zeros and ones, right, Smith? Mm-hmm. But there's so many zeros and ones as it redraws that wave. It's putting so many dots in the redrawing of the wave. It's as though you drew it with a pen, only with pinpoint accuracy. So the more dots, the more natural and fully resolved it sounds. Would you agree with that? You can disagree.
Yeah. No. And another analogy that kind of brings it home for some people is visually. So if you have a film camera is kind of like analog. A digital camera is like digital. And so if you have a really old, not so great digital camera and you take a picture, it's pixelated. You can actually see the blocks, right? And so a better digital camera, you can start zooming in, and you don't really get to that quality until you get down to a microscopic level. A digital to analog converter for audio is kind of the same thing. The better the DAC is, the better a job, the more bandwidth, the more zeros and ones it has to work with to get back to that analog signal.
That's good DAC talk, guys. Good DAC talk.
Thanks.
So I think we exhausted the fun of DAC conversation. You got a dissertation. Well, all right, this one's for you, Larry. And we talked about this before.
I'm sorry.
No, it was. You listen. People want to know.
More numbers equals more better sound.
Yeah, that's essentially it. So Larry, I'm going to give you about 45 seconds to answer this one because I think it's in the same vein of it can go off the deep end. But one of the big additions we've made to both of the new Prime Wireless Pro products is HDMI, and I think people still don't understand ARC, EARC, and CEC and how those are connected and what you need to know. So maybe you can give a quick primer on why those are important to have with a product like this.
Yeah, so CEC is where I'll start because that's was inherent when HDMI started. It's essentially just control over a cable, where a device will like a TV will recognize when you turn on your Blu-ray player. Well, now the ARC and EARC is audio return channel, and that is what allows for whatever is on your screen to physically return back out from the HDMI cable to your, in this case, a Prime Wireless Pro product. So on my desk, I have my laptop, which you guys are seeing me on, a 43-inch screen that I use as a monitor, and then on either side, I have Prime Wireless Pro. And I have the HDMI going from the Prime Wireless Pro to the EARC input/output on my TV. And then anything that's connected to the television then returns outward to those speakers so that I can listen to them, whether I'm streaming or listening to you all right now, or listening to music, whatever, it would come back over the HDMI. So whether you're streaming, playing a video game, a movie, whatever, anything that's connected to the television would then return its way back out to your sound device. So it just makes things a little simpler. One remote will control everything. So even if I'm using the SoundBase or Prime Wireless remote, the everything changes automatically.
And if you're having issues with your audio, the CEC is generally a good place to look in terms of the settings.
Yeah, it's normally going to be a setting in your television. 95% of the time, if it's not working, that's where it's going to be. Simply because there's an audio setting on your TV that needs to be adjusted. I find whenever I switch inputs on this TV, sometimes I have to just simply click the audio menu to make it start working again when I go back to another one. So
let's take this to a 10,000 foot level. And I love this question from Michael M because I think we hit on this early on, but we kind of talk more about the features in our first broadcast. Michael asks, can we SVS guys talk about what guided us in developing these new generation of wireless products? What guided us? What was our inspiration? And I think Gary and Smith, you guys are the perfect ones to answer that.
I should probably start it, and then Smith, you can finish it. But very simply, we felt that that space was dominated by either something like this, which is perfectly fine for what it is. There's nothing wrong with it. It completely fulfills on its promise. But I don't think anybody is going to sit in front of this and say, recreate what it's like to be at a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert. I don't think that's the premise of the product. The premise is, I was gonna say her name, but then she's gonna start blaring at me. The premise is I can talk to this thing, and it will play talk radio, or it'll play some music for me for background, and that's fine. It's completely within what it promises. And then so there's that, and then there's you need to mortgage your house, but you're going to really be happy with this, some super expensive product, and also without all the boxes checked, because that's too hard. Without all the boxes checked of connectivity. So you have some product that sounds fine, connects directly. If you really insist on being wireless, you can use Bluetooth, but Bluetooth is compressed, so it doesn't sound as good. It's too hard for us to do Wi-Fi connectivity, so let's not even try. And that to me is a very narrow band of people who love good sound but have no interest in what's possible with today's technology. So Smith and I felt like we could thread the needle of convincing immersive sound that shocks you for how good it sounds relative to its price, but also to engage the person in an experience like that any way they want to. Use their phone, use AirPlay 2 instead of dealing with an app at all, but just use it as an AirPlay 2 output. Or if you have an Android phone, use a CAFT output, or connect via Bluetooth if you must, or use our Wi-Fi solution and actually stream high-res over Wi-Fi. Smith explained why that's so cool, and just have totally uncompromised sound. And then because Larry really agitated for this, and we worked hard at it, HDMI connectivity, so it can destroy pretty much any soundbar out there in terms of its fidelity. And you know, one thing we realized with our first gen Prime Wireless is pretty much everybody has a TV in pretty much every room. So if you have the product in a room, it's probably got a TV in there, and why not upgrade the sound of that TV? All right, Smith, what can you add to that?
Thanks for leaving it all wide open. You know, honestly, like the Prime Wireless Gen 1 and the new ones really affirm part of the goal for me. And I experience it so much when I introduce these products to friends of mine or my neighbors or whatever it is. People, I let them play their music on the speakers or on the system, and just seeing their eyes light up and kind of rediscover music or content that they've known intimately, but maybe really haven't experienced well ever, or haven't experienced well since they were, you know, in years or decades. And like, to me, that's always part of this. Every product we make should kind of try and get back to that experience, and that's an experience that anybody can have. So everything that Gary just talked about kind of plays into that.
Yeah, and I think you all have heard me gush over this product, and Smith was the first person that I sent the message to after I got it. And it's been a product that my wife has sat down and like listened to music. My kids have sat down and streamed their videos, which they've never done previously on another product. And, you know, I've been in the industry for almost 20 years now, and they've all been around it. And this is the first time with the Prime Wireless Pro that my whole family has actually played with a product outside of the home theater. But the wow factor, the holy crap whenever they hear this for the first time, or, you know, in my case,
that is the cool part. You're exactly right. Like, I can do it with the PlayFi app and do high res over Wi-Fi, but my wife can use AirPlay 2 with her iPhone and not have any of the. She doesn't want to learn a new app. There's nothing. By the way, the PlayFi app takes abuse. It doesn't deserve it. It just. I think people don't want to learn a new app, which is totally cool. And for those of you who are asking why I'm having a light show at my house, there's wind blowing here, and I guess I could lose power. So if I disappear, it's not because it's my personal cocktail time. It's
Nick, that's your chance. Just boot him out.
Eggnog is calling for Gary. That's okay. You can adjourn anytime. Well, here's a softball. I have to answer this one just because it's easy. Adamski asked, how do we determine which HDMI cable is going to work best with Prime Wireless Pro? Well, that's easy. Just get a sound path. I mean, come on, it's future-proof to 8K. So, you know,
and that man is commissioned. Then that man is commissioned for this.
Thank you. But the ARC and EARC, I mean, you tell me, Larry, is any cable going to have the capability of doing EARC?
No, and that was something somebody was asking about, the difference in ARC and EARC. And essentially, EARC is just kind of an updated version with more capabilities, more bit rate, a little bit higher quality. But you can't keep an HDMI cable you've had laying around your house for 5 or 6 years and hook it up to a new TV and a new pair of speakers and just expect it to work, because it's not going to have the bandwidth requirements. So, and
I think that surprises some people. You know, you have this cable, it's like, well, why something's broken here, and it's not capable of passing the signal at its full range. So you know,
it's not like an old RCA cable or S-video cable or anything like that, where they're the same damn thing across the board. In this case, you know, cables matter. So buying a new HDMI cable when you get new gear is always going to be smart.
Yeah. I think you touched on this, Gary, but maybe we just reaffirm it. I mean, what is the real value of why we added AirPlay 2 and Chromecast specifically to the new version of Prime Wireless Pro? Because, you know, it was definitely one of the biggest features that we added, and there's a good reason for it.
I'll say, and then Smith, feel free. One thing we discovered well, you're probably right. This is really a hot button. It's a great question. It's really a hot button question for me, because here we put all this technology into the first gen of Prime Wireless. Its ability to stream high res over Wi-Fi, and it sounds so amazing. And then I have multiple sets in my home, and my family is just connecting to it with Bluetooth because of the ease of that. And they just don't necessarily want to learn a new app. And I just realized if we, Bluetooth is compromised. It's not perfect. It's lossy compression, meaning you lose some of the detail. By contrast, AirPlay 2 and Cast are both CD quality and capable at some future time of going high res. And so, and they're just as easy to connect with as Bluetooth. The difference is the sound is CD quality. So they sound amazing, and yet it's not difficult to connect. By the way, I'm defending our app. I think the app is really easy to use, but sometimes people don't want to learn a new app, and that's cool. This gives you at least CD quality with an easy way to connect. iPhone, AirPlay 2, Android, then you can use Cast, or otherwise known as Chromecast.
Yeah, and I saw somebody asking about Rune. If you have a Chrome or if you have an Android product, you can utilize Rune that way too.
Great insight. So this one's a little geeky, and it actually reminds me of when we had Sandy Gross, the legendary speaker designer, on the broadcast, and I believe he was geeking out a bit about quadraphonic sound. And I also did a featured system with an SVS owner who owned 2 pairs of the original Prime Wireless Pro, and he put 2 on one side of his room, 2 on the other, and he swore like he heard the voice of God. Like he was saying this is like a new way of listening that he didn't know existed. So 2-part question: can Prime Wireless Pro be used in a sort of quadraphonic setup? And is it a thing? Does that even like provide some sort of more immersive experience than listening in stereo? I don't know. I mean, to me, I've never listened in quad, so I actually have not experienced it firsthand. And if this is a nothing, then shoot the messenger.
And it certainly could stream to both pairs of speakers at the same time, and you would lose the ability to do it in high resolution. It would drop down to CD quality. If you see what Sandy sent when he did that, I thought it was just sheer insanity. I mean, it was like these 2 massive speakers about 6 feet in front of you, and then 2 more massive speakers 6 feet behind you, and 1 chair, because no one's going to sit with him in that mess. So he sits alone in there. And they're both
I've been to his house in a previous life, long before SVS. I've been to his house to deliver some product, and when I worked at a different company, and I saw that system, and I was like, "What are you doing in here?"
Well, it's sheer insanity.
It's fun to do.
I'm going to say it's not worth it, but you could do it.
No, it's just fun to kind of play around with. Like in this room, I have the 2 on my desk with a micro sub. Behind me is a full 512 system on a small system here, and then over here on my arcade, I have a SoundBase with a pair of Prime books. And when I'm building PowerPoint, I get all 13 speakers going, and yeah, I would say it's fun. Does it sound any better? No. Does it get louder? Hell yeah.
More speakers, more better.
Yeah, there you go.
That is a philosophy, one that we don't argue with. So hey, but we're due for a giveaway, and I realize I went out of order here, but the next giveaway is actually going to be a pair of Prime Wireless Pro powered speakers, and the winner of that phenomenal stereo pair of wireless speakers is Mr. Derek Butler. Congratulations, Derek. Got a nice hi-fi system. So I had one more question here that I had a good answer for. That's really the only reason I chose it. But Jason Y asks, is he losing anything by going with powered speakers for TV like the Prime Wireless Pro versus a traditional receiver and passive speakers? And I'm going to say yes, about $500 by spending more on the receiver and separate speakers. That's what you're losing.
Well, I mean, to be fair, let's be honest here. It's not our speakers are not capable of surround sound. So,
but he's talking about stereo. He specifically mentioned stereo.
Yeah. So for stereo, I think actually our speakers are going to blow your mind. They sound amazing. And if you want all the bass of a real home theater, all you got to do is use the subwoofer output and connect, preferably an SVS subwoofer to them, but not necessarily, but preferably an SVS subwoofer. And you will get sound that will barbecue any sound bar. What it won't do you got to be totally transparent with this is our peeps here. This is the SVS community. It will not do surround sound. So it will take Dolby Atmos or whatever content coming off of your TV, and it will dumb it down to stereo. But that stereo will blow your mind with its fidelity. And if you add a subwoofer to it, well, you don't even need to add a subwoofer. Prime Wireless Pro have a lot of bass, but if you did, you would have bass that rivals a home theater. You just wouldn't have that rear effect.
Yeah, I think that sums it up better than what I said. But it's very transparency is important.
Not a
so let's make
competition,
sure-
Nick.
That's right. That's right. I'm just trying to save some money for people. So we did quite a few Prime Wireless Pro. If you guys are cool with it, we can move into some more general questions. The first one I have is actually relative to a different product that we sell, and that's our Prime Pinnacle. And I love that Smith's here for this one because I think you can hopefully get into this without being too geeky. But with the Prime Pinnacle tower speaker, what are the benefits of having 3 ports on the rear versus a single one, and why does that matter in terms of the overall performance?
In the case of the Pinnacle, we did this because in the end, we ended up doing 3 dedicated chambers, one for each of the 6.5-inch bass drivers. And instead of just having one big chamber and having some braces and 1 port, we decided to break it into 3 dedicated chambers, and each one is ported. And actually the tuning frequency of each of those ports is a little bit different. So you get this kind of staggered, kind of broader port response. And then the location of those ports physically in the room, it kind of doesn't just all floor load it. So the net effect of all those together and the way that they're positioned, the way that they're tuned, it kind of helps reinforce the bottom end in the best possible way that we could figure out.
Yeah, no, it's a good question because I think most people are used to seeing a single port, and that was a unique design, and having the individual compartments within the cabinet really does give it a bigger sound and do a lot that I think many other speaker manufacturers wouldn't even think of.
Yeah.
So next, this is a subwoofer question. Is there any benefit to elevating a subwoofer off the ground and/or towing it in like your left-right front speakers?
For towing in, no, because bass isn't really directional, so that won't make a difference unless just aesthetically you want to. I run into that in a lot of retail stores, and I tend to move it back. But if you are dealing with nulls in your room or vibrations or shaking things on the wall, taking the subwoofer and getting it off your foundation, like with a set of the isolation system we have, or a panel or something like that, can assist with that too. But I wouldn't say there's inherently you got to do it, but every room's a little bit different as well.
All right, here's another subwoofer question. Any thoughts on mixing brands? So he has one brand of speakers and is considering an SVS subwoofer. Is there anything he needs to know about whether that's a good idea, bad idea, potentially matching those?
So matching a subwoofer of ours with a different brand of speakers?
Correct.
So that's going on all day, every day, all the time. And in fact, I'm not going to say the brand, but there was a long time where a different brand was the #1 speaker brand matched up with our subwoofers. Now our speakers have really come on strong, so they are the #1 speaker brand that matches up with our subwoofers. But plenty of other brands do it, and plenty of our community matches our subwoofers with other brand speakers. And there's a simple reason for that. The speaker branded subwoofers are not known to compete very well with SVS subwoofers. And I'm not trying to be mean, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but we do a better job, and yet we're in the same price ranges as the speaker branded subwoofers. And as far as adjusting the subwoofer to match the speakers, we actually have on our site, probably people don't even know about it, we haven't talked about it that much, the SVS subwoofer speaker matching tool. It's right there on our site, and we have thousands of individual speaker models, not brands, models. You can look up your model of speakers, and it will tell you exactly the settings that perfectly match our subwoofer to your speakers. And if you have any questions, we have, you guys know the sound experts, our customer service team. They're standing by 7 days a week to talk with you and help you.
So going from lows to heights, Eric B asks, would Atmos work in an open concept vaulted ceiling living room? And I think there just might be a solution for that. Larry, what do you think?
Absolutely. We obviously have a speaker, the Prime Elevation, that would work great for that, where it can be mounted on the wall. Yeah, right there above Nick's head. You're not very good at pointing. There you go, kind of. Where they mount on the wall. You can see my mess real quick right up there. they mount on the wall. They can go on a vault and still be aimed towards the listening position, and give a great experience. Because when you go to a movie theater, it kind of angled backwards as well in many cases. So they're designed for that. They're great for it. The biggest hurdle you're going to run into is running your wire. But outside of that, it's a great experience.
So this is an interesting one. And Smith, again, I'm glad you're here for this. Joshua K asks, who certifies or tests our subwoofers? He's saying that, between all the brands out there, we are the most transparent in terms of all the specs that we share. And, is there a reason between that? Is this our own personal testing, a third party? Like, why is that important for us to have that information available?
Well, I mean, I'll just say that there's actually a lot more testing and specs behind the product than just what we publish, right? You kind of like, I think maybe Gary, you can chime in on this, but the things that we're publishing are probably the single most important objective pieces of information about a subwoofer, so you can judge its performance. And you kind of want to look at everything as a collection. But there's, we do endless testing in a lot of different ways, a lot of different metrics, a lot of different environments to qualify the product in the whole development process, and then even after it's in production. So I don't know if that helps the answer.
No, that you come at it from an engineering place, and I totally embrace that. But also from the place of, if you're proud of your product, why wouldn't you be totally transparent about the information you share about it? And we do. I mean, we're totally transparent. We want anyone considering an SVS speaker or subwoofer to know everything we know about it, other than necessarily maybe how we did it. I mean, sorry, we don't necessarily want to share everything about that, but we definitely want you to know what you're in for if you choose our product, and we try to define that every way we possibly can.
So we're getting near the end, but I have a couple non-product related questions that I think are good to hit on. Aaron D asks, any chance SVS will be able to do virtual consultations on home audio in the near future? You don't have to wait. You can do it right now. If you go to our support page, just drop an email to our team or chat in. We'll set up an appointment where basically you just Zoom. We have our own tool that we use, but you can show them different parts of your room, ask about placement. You can show them settings on your screen if you're not quite getting the output that you think is right. But it's an opportunity to have a face-to-face interaction with one of our sound experts, support team, and they'll walk you through any kind of Q&A that you have and make sure your system is sounding as good as possible. And that is not just for SVS products. That is for your entire system. So take advantage of it if you get the opportunity. We're always quick to respond, so we can take care of you. I've also been given a note that a lot of people are asking where they can hear our products. There is a dealer locator on our site as well. There's a link right in the top left corner that basically says US dealers. Click on that, put in your zip code. That will tell you the closest dealer. We're constantly expanding, so it's getting updated on a regular basis, but that's the best place to find somewhere locally that you'll be able to hear SVS products in person. And of course, we have our 45-day trial, no risk. So that's always an option as well if you want to take advantage of that. One more question about Prime Wireless Pro before we do the last giveaway. And Gary, I know you're a big vinyl guy, but the question is, are these good speakers for vinyl? These are, you think digital, sort of modern, do they maintain that sort of allure of what people love about vinyl in terms of connecting to a turntable?
So what you want, in my opinion, and I have our speakers connected to a very high-end turntable and high-end phono preamp, and they're in a very pristine system. Turntable makes music sound very listenable, very rounded, very non-fatiguing, very musical. But sometimes maybe the last bit of detail isn't there. It's not ruthless, I guess. And our speakers are very detailed. So I find them to be a really good match for an analog system like based around a nice turntable. I think they'll find detail that you wouldn't get with some other speakers, and yet they'll preserve that smoothness, that roundness, that musicality of a record player. I'll totally open it up to Smith and Larry on that one.
And just to say that if you, depending on your record player, you might need a phono preamp, right? Like Gary, your turntable, you have a Lin?
I have a Lin turntable, but I also my cartridge is a Koetsu low output moving coil cartridge.
I know all about
so proud of that.
I'm proud of
special-
I'm
not
proud of
special
his
preamp.
cartridge.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Well, you'll come over, Smith, and listen to it one of these days.
But yeah, and I have a Rega, depending on how you say it. But and then I have a very inexpensive phono preamp, and that basically can take the waveform from a record player, get it into the right spec to plug right into Prime Wireless.
Oh, you're not done yet, Smith. I'm not letting you go yet. Come on, just hit 7. But we do have our last giveaway of the evening, the big Prime Wireless Pro SoundBase with a pair of Ultra Bookshelf speakers and Ultra speaker cables to connect. All of that together. Winner of that is Colo Grey Wolf. Colo Grey Wolf. I'm not sure if that's your real name or not, your birth name, but Colo Grey Wolf, congratulations. You got yourself a system. So we haven't quite picked our next happy hour date yet, but we are going to be doing some action at CES. But I did, do we want to do any other final surprises for the night before we wrap things up here?
Have we done all 4 of the giveaways?
That was it. That was the big grand finale.
Or
Do
is
we
it?
have a surprise giveaway?
I don't know, do we? I think we might.
It's Christmas.
We're all
You
looking
let me
down
do
our
it.
phone.
Christmas.
We're
It's
texting
Christmas
amongst
and
each
it's
other.
Hanukkah, so
Let's
I think
do
we should
another
do a
one.
surprise giveaway.
All
And
right.
I'm proposing a Prime speaker complete home theater system, Prime bookshelves, Prime satellites in the rear, Prime center, SB1000 Pro subwoofer. Am I forgetting something? No, that was your
Out of
Home
left
Alone.
field.
You're Home Alone again. So
Where did that come from?
5.1 Prime based system. Let's give one away for
All right.
Christmas and Hanukkah.
Let's do it. Vince, I hope you're paying attention because we're springing this one on you. But like Gary said, full 5.1 system. Somebody's going to be rocking some awesome surround sound. But before I do that, I just want to remind you, we're going to be doing some live stuff from CES in Vegas at the first week of January. And then after that, we'll announce our upcoming happy hour dates as well as our dealer events. So all of that is on the agenda for the next couple of weeks. And the winner of this phenomenal Prime Bookshelf 5.1 system is Hank Rogness. Hammer and Hank Rogness. Congratulations.
Yeah, there you go.
You are a happy.
Congratulations, Hank. You get a full-on SVS home theater.
You got the holiday system. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. The comments were just phenomenal. I couldn't even keep up with them.
I couldn't
great
either.
Audience
Great.
tonight. We appreciate everyone turning out. I hope you have a lovely holiday. Stay warm. You got the polar vortex hitting all over the country.
Polar bomb.
Polar bomb, that's right. But we look forward to connecting with you in the new year, if not before. So thank you, everybody.
Nice being with everyone.
Everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Cheers.